ಎಲ್ಲರಿಗೂ ನಮಸ್ಕಾರ. Good morning, everyone present here. I, Harish KR, Assistant Professor of Mechatronics Department of Svce-Aicte College of Engineering, Bengaluru, on 1st December 2020, would welcome you all for today's morning session of 2-week AICTE sponsored online FTP on fostering ethics, moral values, and character building in technical education, being conducted by Department of Mechatronics SVCE from 23rd November 2020 to 5th December 2020. I'm very much pleased to introduce you all the speaker for this session, Mr. Amar Dattatreya Damleji, Assistant Professor, Department of Psychology of Srimati Binzani Mahila Vidyalaya, Nagpur. Damleji actually holds his diploma and bachelor's degree both in pharmacy from Nagpur College of Pharmacy, Nagpur, in the year 1989 and 95. Later in 2001, from Symbiosis, he has completed MD BA as well, and had his additional BA in psychology and master's MA in industrial psychology from Nagpur University in the year 2005 and subsequently in the year 2007. In the same year, that is December 2007, Sir has cleared UGC NET exam, NET, in psychology. He is actually currently working in Srimati Binzani Mahila Vidyalaya, Nagpur, as an assistant professor. Also with that, he is also pursuing his MBA in HR from RTMNU, and also he is pursuing his PhD in emotional intelligence. It's a very great platform, and overall Sir has 21 years of experience, and he is presently working with Binzani Mahila Vidyalaya in the Department of Psychology. To his credit, Sir has many papers that he has published. Totally 4 international and 15 national papers he has published in various conferences and also in journals. 8 years of regional manager experience he has in Rapta Course Bread and Co. Limited in Mumbai. And he was also associated with Svce-Aicte as an NGO working for parents as a project coordinator, conducting hundreds of educational programs for parents and teachers. And if you wish to know more about this, you can log on to setungp.org, setungp.org. And he has conducted various skills development programs for both students and as well as teachers. He is also a secretary of ICAN Foundation, Aurangabad, is which empowers the youth there. And also he is a mentor for Shake Hands with Success, a year-long self-empowerment program. Also, Sir is working as an organizational development consultant for 2 major pharmaceutical companies in Vidarbha. Has conducted over 3,000 programs on goal setting and self-motivation, stress management, work culture for professionals and students. So is regularly a faculty at NADT Regional Training Center, which is a PWD in the Nagpur region, and also in GSI, that is a Geological Survey of India, Yamaha GM Genco Nagpur. Is associated with NPTI as a HR consultant, that is National Power Training Institute Nagpur, since last 13 years. Sir has also participated and attended various training programs on counseling, motivation. Then he is also a founder of Amar Preschool at Nagpur. Also, he is the director of PACE Hardcare Academy for competitive exams. He is coaching very young students for their MBA, MPSC, UPSC exams, bank PO exams, and also other competitive examinations. He is especially working at psychometric testing since last 10 years. with the testing aptitudes, personality, and assessment of motivation, adjustment, stress, and related problems in academic and industry. So he is working with respect to this as well. The core competence in EQ and TA is that pursuing CTA with Dr. T. Radhakrishnan, Chennai. Also, he is specialized in psychometric testing, in IQ testing, aptitude testing, personality assessment. So, with this simple, brief introduction, which goes more like a episode, uh, I have cut shorted it. Otherwise, the achievements of the Damleji is huge. It would take a long time. I would cut short it, sir. And on behalf of the organizing committee and on my own behalf, I welcome you for this session, sir. Over to you, sir.
Thank you so much. I hope I'm audible to everyone,
Yes, sir.
and I'm sure that everybody would be not only listening to me, but I would request all the participants to take a pen and pencil or take a paper and pencil so that whatever we discuss, whatever we talk about, would be scribbled down somewhere as notes on your own. I know that you all are teachers, and I also understand that it is very difficult for a trainer to train the teachers. Not only because they know most of the things, but it is very, what I should say, difficult to make things understand or rather percolate down slowly. That is what I know. Since last so many years, I have been training people around. Today's session is something different. Since last about 8 days, you have been bombarded with a lot of inputs on morals, values, ethics, principles, and lot many things. Specifically, as you are educators, you are trainers, you yourself are counselors to a certain extent. To a certain extent, and mind well, when we say that we are teachers, we have certain responsibilities not only towards students, their parents, the stakeholders, I would say, but we have the responsibility as a whole towards the society. And when we talk about society, we also talk about the values, morals, and ethics in the society. Today's session is going to be something different. It will be a learning platform for everyone, not only to develop their emotional intelligence, but also to understand what exactly it is and how EQ helps us to develop better ethics, better values, and morals. So it can be termed as a novel way or a key to developing values, ethics in our own self. I'm going to use, I don't know what the language the participants are using, but I'm going to use English and Hindi as a combination of those two languages because I understand that most of the people are from the southern part of India, but still there are few people who are from Maharashtra. That is what I know. And when these languages are used, हम जब इसका इस्तेमाल करेंगे तो ऑटोमेटिकली चीजें अंदर तक के जाएगी तभी उसका इम्पैक्ट होगा. Otherwise, it will be just a superficial talk for 1 hour 25 minutes or 1 hour 30 minutes. And at the end of the story, agar pucha jaye, to everybody will say that the session was excellent. Mr. Damle speaks very nice. I know he speaks very nice. Lekin samjha kya? So it's a big question mark. So that should not happen. That is what my objective ultimately is. The ultimate objective of this 1.5 hour session is to infuse or to understand what is EQ and how EQ is going to develop your values, your morals, your ethics so that they can be percolated down into your students. Fortunately, last 5 years or last 6 years, I have been working on this, and my thesis of PhD was specifically on emotional intelligence of teachers and how it affects the students. That is what my topic was, and it's very interesting to understand what exactly and how it works. So let us begin. Let us start. Let us start understanding it. Before we understand, before we know what exactly and how EQ is going to help, let us, in brief, let us in short, try to understand what exactly we mean by, I would say, I mean by morals, values, and ethics, and how they are implied in the education. So, for that, I would like to share a few things. At the end of the session, or at the end of my deliberation, I would be welcoming all the questions, which obviously you can, write in the chat box of your YouTube, and obviously the coordinator, Mr. Harish, would be passing it on to me, and I would like to reply all those questions at the end of the session. In case you find any question in between, I request you to please take a note of it, or you can write down or scribble down in the even in the chat box. So in between also I will be accepting the question. Okay. So first of all, let me thank the college for inviting me for this particular session, and let me thank you for everyone who has organized this particular program. Let us begin. Let us start. I'm sharing my screen, and I would like to you to just go through this session comfortably. Right. So when we talk about emotional intelligence, we always talk about these three things. I may not be visible to you, but my voice is going to come to you, and I'm sure that it is very, very sufficient. Okay. When we talk about overall personality or overall personality of an individual, we always talk about three things. These are the three domains. The first domain I call it as a cognitive domain, that is the thinking part, the brain part. So our parents and teachers always have tried to develop this particular aspect of our personality, that is the thinking part, the brain part. Let me give you a very simple example. When I say that there is a class or there is a coach who trains you to think rationally, who trains you to think logically, and who trains you to think or to develop your memory, I understand that most of the parents are very anxious and eager to send their child to develop their memory, to think logically, to think rationally. That is what the parents have been talking about. हमेशा ध्यान में रखेंगे कि ट्यूशन क्लासेस या जो भी क्लासेस है वो क्लासेस का फोकस बच्चे के इंटेलिजेंस को डेवलप करने के लिए रहेगा. ओके. द सेकेंड एरिया विच पीपल विल बी टॉकिंग अबाउट और पीपल हैव बीन थिंकिंग अबाउट इज द बिहेवियरल डेवलपमेंट. Our parents and teachers have always been telling us to do certain things and not to do certain things. बड़ों के पैर छूने चाहिए, टीचर को रिस्पेक्ट देनी चाहिए, जो भी आपके आसपास के अच्छे लोग हैं या एडल्ट्स हैं उन सारे एडल्ट्स को एडल्ट के जैसा ट्रीट करके उनको सबको रिस्पेक्ट देना चाहिए, ब्ला ब्ला एंड सो मेनी थिंग्स. घर के अंदर में और स्कूल में हमेशा कैसा बिहेव करना चाहिए और कैसा बिहेव नहीं करना चाहिए, दैट इज व्हाट पीपल हैव बीन टेलिंग अस. But the third domain, one of the major domains of the personality, that is the emotional development, the feeling part, very few people know it because very few people have been taught about it. I don't think in your entire curriculum, anywhere during your degree or during your master's degree, anywhere you have been given any input on how to develop your emotions or how to develop your emotional intelligence. We are not taught how to express our feelings, and that is where the most of the major problem arises. I am not going to talk only about the negative feelings, or I am not going to talk about the feelings per se, but I am going to talk how to express your feelings. And that is what would be the key for today's session. So let us understand what are values. इसको हम मूल्य भी कहते हैं. तो मूल्य क्या है? क्या होते हैं मूल्य? Basically, these are the constellation of the standards or qualities, characteristics, or ideas that determine a person's views of the world. So basically, it is my view, my perception. इसको हम दृष्टिकोण कहते हैं. It is my perception. These are standards or ideas. Qualities are likes, dislikes, viewpoints, inner inclination, rational and irrational judgments. The prejudices and association pattern of an individual. So values are individuals' perspectives or values are individuals' ideas or viewpoints about a particular person, place, thing, event. These are values. Why values are so important to us? Personal values denote a sense of right and wrong, good or bad, and other judgmental criteria based on a strong sense of what the ideal ought to be. Here I remember a wonderful statement, a wonderful quotation given by Aristotle, which states, nothing is right and wrong in this world, nothing is good or bad in this world, it is how we perceive it. So our perception can make things right and wrong, our perception can make things good and bad, and basically the personal values serve 5 purposes in person's life. So the values serves as standards of anybody's behavior. It also gives the guidelines for decision making and conflict resolution. Values affect our thought and action, and values influence our motivation and perception. Basically, values influence our attitude and the behavior. So first comes values, and values are developed over a long period of time. Believe me, nobody develops a value only on the basis of one experience. Values are developed on the basis of a slow and steady process it is. I still remember my English teacher when I was in 5th or 6th standard. I still remember my English teacher or mathematics teacher when I was in 10th standard. I still remember my teachers during my diploma and my degree. Are we making an impact on our students in such a way that students remember us for a long period of time in their life? Fortunately, I am into teaching since last about 11 years or 12 years now. Rather, I would say completed 15 years now, and into psychology since last 10 years. And I still remember, and I am very confident to say that my students right from day one remember me even today with certain quotations, with certain inputs, not only inputs on the basis of my experiences, but on the basis of what this student requires. So values are very important, and values develops gradually, slowly. These are learned from observations. These are learned from experiences. And then we have morale. Morale comes from the Latin word mors for habits. The moral of a story is supposed to teach you how to be a better person ultimately. If morale is used as an adjective, it means good or ethical. If you have a strong moral character, you are a good member of the society. So ultimate goal of a teacher is what? Ultimate goal of a teacher is to develop a strong and a person with a very strong character, a person with a very strong morale, and a person who is good to live in the society. So what are we creating? We are not only creating students, or we are not pumping out students who are learned ones, but we are actually trying to develop individuals who are going to be a better citizen of the society. So if someone says he is a cheat and a liar, you might say she is not a moral person, or the person is not having a morals. And what are values or ethics? Values we talked about morals, and now we are talking about ethics. Is it derived from the Greek word ethos, which means customs, habitual usage, conduct, and character. Ethics is an individual's personal beliefs regarding what is right and wrong or bad. Ethics involves a discipline that examines good or bad practices within the context of a moral duty. आचार विचार जिसको हम कहते हैं उसे हम एथिक्स बोलेंगे. एथिक्स का बहुत सिंपल सादा मतलब है कि I'll give a simple example. What are your ethics as far as teaching learning is concerned? What are your ethics as far as valuation of papers is concerned? What are the ethics you follow? I'm not talking about the values and morals. I'm only talking about the ethics. What are the ethics you follow while evaluating a paper? So ethics are basically the practices which help you to observe a better morale and to imbibe values into the other person as well. If I compare morals and ethics, morals are nothing but individualized code of right and wrong, and ethics are nothing but standardized code of right and wrong. So if I think about industry, and if I talk about two major industries or two major group of industries in India, if I talk about Reliance, the ethics of Reliance are something different than the ethics of Tata's. If I compare both of them, you will 100% agree with me that both of them have different ethics. They have ethics, they have morals, they have values, but they are different. People may shift over from one industry to the other, or from Tata's maybe to Reliance. The ethics slowly and steadily changes. हम बोलते ना कि आपको आपके इंडस्ट्री के हिसाब से ढलना पड़ता है. You have to mold yourself according to the industry. You have to mold yourself according to the organization. But remember, the values and the morals may not change. Both define what is considered acceptable behavior for the individual or the group. So ethics of one department may not be followed by the other department in your institution. Mind well. If this is the difference, what a personality is all about. Like I said, personality is a combination, it's a fusion of what you think, what you feel, and what you act. So basically, according to me, personality can be defined as by these 6 areas: the values of an individual, the beliefs what I carry about a person, place, thing, or an event, my perception about everything in life, my attitudes, my behavior, and my interest. So personality is a combination of everything. And what are we doing? We are trying to develop the personality of our students. We're not only there to pass on the knowledge what we have, but we are also there as teachers or as what I should say mentors. To be very honest, I understand that I'm not a teacher. When you teach something, it's difficult for somebody to understand. But when you make him see what you do, I think the observation makes a lot of difference for the student. बच्चे जो है वो कैसे सीखते हैं? बच्चे सीखते हैं ऑब्जर्वेशन से, बच्चे सीखते हैं आपको देख के, बच्चे सीखते हैं, बच्चे ऑब्जर्व करते हैं. आई स्टिल रिमेंबर माई चिल्ड्रन कमिंग होम एंड टेलिंग समथिंग अबाउट द टीचर्स कि आज टीचर ने ऐसा ड्रेस पहना था, आज टीचर ने ये डेकोरेशन किया था, आज टीचर ने वो किया, टीचर ने ये किया, एंड सो मेनी नंबर ऑफ थिंग्स. दे कीप ऑन टॉकिंग अबाउट द टीचर्स. 5 to 6 hours we as mentors are there along with them. Now how do you spell a word mentor? How do you actually relate mentor to? Mentor is a person, nothing but he is a friend, philosopher and guide. इसको हम हिंदी में मित्र कहते हैं. मित्र मतलब दोस्त नहीं, मित्र मतलब मित्र. A person who is standing behind always whenever there is a problem. Even if there is no problem, you are always there. So the student needs to understand this, that yes, you are not only a friend of him, but you are as a mentor. I understand every technical institution today has got a counseling cell. Every technical institution and even a non-technical institution has got a mentoring system. And mentoring system only and only will work when you start understanding the student per se. Let me define these two for you. The parents and the teachers have always been talking about intelligence, the global capacity of the individual to act purposefully, to think rationally, and to deal effectively with the environment. Every person who is born on this earth is having some or the other intelligence. May it be average, may it be below average, may it be above average, may it be a superior level of intelligence. Everybody has got intelligence. Similarly, I would say emotional intelligence is an ability of recognizing, understanding, and choosing how we think, feel, and act. It is our choice. Like every day when I wake up in the morning, obviously, when I open my eyes, what do? I choose. I choose to be happy or I choose not to be happy. So it is my choice. So emotional intelligence is recognizing, understanding, and choosing how we think, feel, and act. Believe me, everybody has got emotional intelligence. And more important, the iceberg here denotes something. 1/10 of the iceberg which is seen on the surface is nothing but intelligence. And 9/10, which is the hidden part of the iceberg which nobody sees, is something which I term as emotional intelligence. And most important thing is, once your level of intelligence reaches, you only work on your experiences. Your intelligence is not changing. But you can develop your emotional intelligence to a great extent. That is what people call it as maturity. Daniel Goleman says, very rightly said, Daniel Goleman actually is the psychologist who has propagated the concept of emotional intelligence to a great extent. He says out of control emotions can make smart people stupid. Very simple. He says out of control emotions can make smart people stupid. So if you don't want to be stupid at times, you need to be smart and you need to control or regulate your emotions. What and how we are going to do it? We are going to understand today. So what emotional intelligence does? Basically, it improves your decision making. It decreases the occupational stress. Obviously, it reduces your staff turnover, increases the personal well-being. There's an increased leadership ability and increased team performance when a person is emotionally intelligent. So inculcating high moral values and following ethical standards nurture a better culture in the organization and personal life by developing emotional intelligence. That is what I say. If you want to infuse a better culture in your organization and the person's life, whosoever emotional intelligence is, This training program I'm conducting for the teachers. And mind well, this kind of training program can also be conducted for the students. It can be a day long program. It can be a 3 days program. It can be a monthly program.
I think there is some technical issue. We'll just get back in some time.
Yeah, is it okay now?
Yes, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Extremely sorry, it was disconnected for some reason. I don't know.
Okay, sir.
Okay, sir.
Yeah, you can reconnect again. Yeah, shall we start?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, okay. Thank you so much. I think we were on this slide when we had left behind. Yeah, we were talking something about Daniel Goldman. Yeah, we were talking something about Daniel Goldman. And Daniel Goldman has rightly said or commented out of control emotions can make smart people stupid. So if you don't want to be stupid, if you really want to be smart, you need to control your emotions. Right? Basically, emotions intelligence does what? It improves decision making, decrease occupational stress, reduce staff turnover, increase personal well-being, increases the leadership ability, and most important, it increases the team performance. So if you are inculcating high values and morals, following ethical standards to develop or to nurture a better culture in the organization and personal life, I would request you all to develop your emotional intelligence. And how to develop emotional intelligence, it is very, very vital, very, very important. That is what we are going to talk about today, right? A wonderful test was conducted, which is called as the Marshmallow test. This test was conducted by Professor Walter Mischel, and he's an American Australian psychologist. A beautiful test was conducted in 1971. Believe me, it's about 45 years before this test was conducted. In 1971, what they did was, children from the age group of 3 years to 10 years, about 50 children were selected, and they were given the input. The counselor went into the counseling room. On the table, there was a marshmallow kept. Marshmallow is a sweet jelly-like substance which the students love to a great extent in US. Like in India, we love Cadbury's. छोटे बच्चे को अगर Cadbury देंगे या आइसक्रीम देंगे तो he'll do whatever you want him to do. So similarly in US, marshmallow is one of the wonderful sweet which is liked by most of the children. So one marshmallow was kept, one piece of marshmallow was kept, and the child was told that if you stop or if you wait for some time till the time I come back, if you don't eat this marshmallow, I'll give you one more. And if you don't want to wait, you can eat it immediately after I leave. So believe me, about 50 children were given this input. 25 kids were there who waited, like the child we are seeing or observing in this particular box. There were 50 children who waited for the second marshmallow to come. And there were 50 children, or there were 25 children who waited, and there were 25 children who immediately or spontaneously ate the marshmallow the moment the counselor left the room. So Walter Mischel and his team observed these 50 children for the next 20 years. And in 1991, they propagated a theory on delayed gratification. And this theory can be related to emotional intelligence, obviously. A 3-year young child, when he decides to wait for some time, when the best or the sweetest thing is kept in front of him, when he decides to wait for the second one to come in, obviously certain thing goes on within him. At the end of 20 years, what Professor Walter Mischel observed was those 25 children जिन्होंने immediately instant gratification करते हुए self control न रखते हुए उस marshmallow को खा लिया. These kids were now grown-ups, and these grown-ups were either drug addicts, they were either killers, they were undergoing some kind of treatment, they were alcoholics, and some of them were into jail, serving some term. But those 25 children who waited for the second marshmallow to come in were very successful in their careers, were very successful in their life. Some of them were lawyers, some of them were doctors, some of them were teachers, and some of them were very, very politically renowned people. They basically were very successful in their social life. So, to think, there are 2 books I would like to give you which will help you to develop what we are talking about. One book is the book which was published in 1995 by the most renowned professor Daniel Goleman, and this particular book is termed as How to Develop Your Emotional Intelligence, or Working with Emotional Intelligence. And in 2001, he again released one more book which is termed as Social Intelligence. So what we are talking about today, what we are thinking about today is nothing but how to be socially intelligent in today's world. It is nothing but I would say a learned behavior with observation. It is nothing but ये हम सीख सकते हैं. तो किससे सीखेंगे हम? हमारे आसपास के एडल्ट से सीखेंगे, हमारे आसपास के टीचर से सीखेंगे, हमारे पेरेंट्स से सीखेंगे. Unfortunately, Unfortunately, our parents have never ever been taught to develop emotionally. So I would like you to answer this question and think, do you really want to develop your emotional intelligence? If the answer is yes, I'm sure the coming slides will help you to a great extent. ठीक है, देखते हैं. मेरे ख्याल से जो जो चीजें मैंने बोली है उसको एक बार रिकैप कर लेते हैं. We talked about values, morals and ethics. We talked about how your ethics are important, how you can differentiate between morals and values and ethics. And we talked about how emotional intelligence helps in developing them. And now we are talking about how to develop the emotional intelligence within a very short span of time. 1.5 घंटे में I'm not going to do any chamatkara. Believe me, there is no magic wand. It will take time. Like you're observing me today, you're seeing me today. It took a lot of time for me to be like this. Believe me, it took a lot of time. So 3 strong and the most common unpleasant feelings what we have is stress, unhappiness and anger. I haven't seen a tuition class. I haven't seen a college syllabus. I haven't seen anything in the university to develop these. But I have seen n number of training programs and I have conducted a number of training programs on anger management, reducing stress and how to be happy. So we always talk about the happiness what we want to have. So these 3 unpleasant feelings are very common with everyone and there are different type of emotions. So some emotions are positive and some emotions are negative. I would like you to scribble down on the piece of paper whatever you have names of the positive and negative emotions. At least 10 emotions you have to write. Start scribbling down one by one till the time I go on with the slides. I'm sure you as a teachers can surely scribble them down. Please write down what are the different types of emotions, positive emotions and negative emotions. The most common positive emotion would come as being happy. The second most positive emotion commonly used or commonly understood or known is love. So I would like, in addition to the standard two type of emotions, I would like them to be differentiated into 2 more parts. One is appropriate emotion and the second one is inappropriate emotion. उचित और अनुचित. जैसा मैं कभी नहीं बोलूंगा कि कोई चीज अच्छी है या बुरी है, वैसे ही अभी मैं बोलता हूं कि वो उचित है या अनुचित है. Like we keep on talking about ना कि no decision is good or bad, it is either appropriate or it is inappropriate, right? So 2 more type of emotions, either appropriate or inappropriate. I am showing you a list of emotions which are positive and I very strongly believe that you will not be able to remember more than 10 positive emotions. But there are about 1,400 different emotional shades given in the Oxford Dictionary. So out of them, these are some of the examples of positive emotion. Eager, encouraged, excited, ecstatic, joyous, zealous, trusting, blissful. My God. So many number of positive emotions are there and so many number of negative emotions are there. Believe me, with all the negative emotions, what are we going to do? What are we going to do if we are furious? If we are unhappy, if we are upset, if we are terrified, confused, if we are sad, disappointed, intolerant, frustrated, anxious, irritated, disgust. गारंटी है मेरी 5 से ज्यादा नेगेटिव इमोशन जिसने लिख लिए वो अपने आप को इमोशंस को समझने की शुरुआत कर देता है, लेकिन हम लिख ही नहीं सकते बिकॉज वी डोंट नो व्हाट वी आर फीलिंग. हमें ये मालूम ही नहीं है कि हमारे अंदर हो क्या रहा है. At the end of the day, when you finish off with your online sessions, at the end of the day, you start thinking as a teacher कि यार ये students को समझा कि नहीं समझा. जो कुछ भी मैंने बोला, जैसे अभी मुझे लग रहा है कि I am talking to the students or I am talking to the teachers in some different mode and the teachers are seeing it on YouTube live. कौन देख रहा है, कौन नहीं देख रहा, पता नहीं. सही में लोगों को मिल रहा है कि नहीं मिल रहा है, पता नहीं. लोग किस तरह से रिएक्ट कर रहे हैं ये भी मुझे पता नहीं. मैं एक स्क्रीन के सामने बैठ के कुछ बात कर रहा हूं, आई एम नॉट एबल टू अंडरस्टैंड एनीथिंग. सो एट द एंड ऑफ द डे यू स्टार्ट गेटिंग इरिटेटेड. क्या ये सिस्टम बेकार है, होपलेस सिस्टम है ये, मतलब ये AICT ने नहीं, हमारे कॉलेज ने किया हुआ सिस्टम एकदम बेकार है. दिस एजुकेशन सिस्टम इज नॉट गोइंग टू वर्क. I tell you, guarantee, I tell you, the students are going to be passed like this only. है ना, कोरोना 2020 स्टूडेंट्स, ऐसा हम इनको बोलेंगे, गधे घोड़े सब पास. At the end of the day, you not only become irritated, but you start becoming angry. Angry on yourself, angry on the situation, angry on the decision makers, angry on the government, angry on everybody around you. And then you start showing your anger into something. You start expressing it the way normally you express it. I don't know how you express that way, but this is the most common way to express. You start yelling at your children, you start cribbing at things, and you start doing all sort of bullshit things because you are irritated of something which you should not do. So negative emotion always have a problem in our life. Believe me, positive emotion never has a problem. If you are, like for example, in this particular diagram or a figure or a wonderful picture, you will see that there are only three emotions. These three emotions are happy emotion, or they are positive and appropriate emotions. Most of the other emotions are negative emotions and inappropriate emotions. Even being suspicious is also a negative emotion. Only contented, happy, and to a certain extent surprise, these are some of the emotions which can be termed as appropriate and positive emotions. So here are some of the emotions which I am going to give you, and I understand that these emotions you will be able to understand better if you have the positive emotions and the appropriate ones. Anybody and everybody, हर किसी को मैं समझता हूं ये पॉजिटिव इमोशंस की नहीं, नेगेटिव इमोशंस की नहीं, एप्रोप्रिएट इमोशंस की जरूरत है. Everybody needs to have the emotions in an appropriate state. कैसे? Let us understand this. एंगर सबको आता है. जैसे एरिस्टोटल का एक बहुत अच्छा स्टेटमेंट है, क्या बोलते हैं? To be angry is very easy. To be angry is very easy. But to be angry with the right person, at the right time, at the right place, with the right perspective is very difficult. And if somebody does it, he was emotionally intelligent. गुस्सा सबको आता है, छोटे बच्चे से लेके बूढ़े तक के सबको गुस्सा आता है ना? So these negative emotions, according to me, the four ones: anger, anxiety, depression, guilt. These are the four extreme negative, extremely inappropriate negative emotions. These emotions ultimately turn a person stupid, and stupid people take stupid decisions. Even the inappropriate positive emotions has a problem. Overconfidence is a positive emotion that way, but it is inappropriate. Complacency is a inappropriate positive emotion. Laziness, alas, अच्छा है ना? It is, we are in a very comfortable state, you know. Laziness is very good that way. So, but it is inappropriate at times. Arrogance, you know, confidence and arrogance has a thin margin. When I know I can do it, I am confident. But when I know and I say that only I can do it, that is arrogance. A thin margin. So positive emotions with the appropriate ones, best. Confidence, satisfaction, happiness, love or prem and affection. These are the five positive appropriate emotions. But if you have some negative emotions, those inappropriate need to be converted to appropriate ones. Anger needs to convert it to irritation. Anxiety needs to convert it to concern. Depression needs to get converted to sadness. And obviously, guilt needs to convert it to regret. Unfortunately, in our system, depression is such a word which anybody and everybody is using Tom, Dick and Harry, everybody is using that I am feeling depressed. 5 साल का छोटा बच्चा भी बोलता है कि मेरे को डिप्रेशन है. Please, my sincere request to you, don't use the word depression from now onwards. Label your emotion in such a way that you don't label it as depression. Depression is an extreme personality disorder. Huh? It is an extreme problem with the individual's personality. Chiller लोगों को depression नहीं होता है. Anybody and everybody would not have depression. They may feel sad. They may feel irritated or concerned, or they may regret about certain things. We start using these words. So what are we going to use, or what are we going to have? We will be having and we'll be using the appropriate positive and negative both emotions. Okay. So once we have this, let's see what is the ABC of emotional intelligence. The A is nothing but activating event. This is what we normally see. गाड़ी पंचर हो गई, चाबी मिल नहीं रही है, पेन चलता नहीं टाइम पे, चेक पे साइन करना है, द पेन इज नॉट वर्किंग, है ना. आई एम इन द एग्जामिनेशन हॉल एंड 5 स्टूडेंट्स आस्क मी कि मैडम पेन है क्या आपके पास एक्स्ट्रा. अबे गधे, तू स्टूडेंट है, पेन तूने लाना चाहिए कि मास्टर ने रखना चाहिए. सो दैट ट्रिगर, दैट स्टिमुलस, दैट इवेंट, दैट समथिंग इज नथिंग बट द एक्टिवेटिंग इवेंट. And the consequence, that is what we see. The irritation, the anger, the expression, the way you express your own self is nothing but the consequence. That is what we see. We normally don't see the belief or the irrational or the rational belief what one carries about the event. Let me give you a very simple example. Yesterday evening, my son took my vehicle to some of his friends in the afternoon or the evening. He came back late. He is sleeping. He kept the key somewhere in the near the drawer. I got the key. I have to 9 o'clock. I have to rush to the college. I have to run to the college. I have to reach the college. 9 बजे मुझे ऑफिस पहुंचना ही चाहिए. That is what I believe. That is what is my belief. It may be rational or irrational. 9 बजे मुझे पहुंचना ही चाहिए. I must reach the college at 9 o'clock. ब्रैकेट में anyhow. ठीक है. Now if it is so, चाबी नहीं मिल रही समय पे, चाबी मिल गई तो नीचे गया तो गाड़ी स्टार्ट नहीं हो रही, तो देखा तो पेट्रोल खत्म है. अब मैं क्या करूं? What I start doing is, गाड़ी स्टार्ट नहीं हो रही है समय पे, ये एक्टिवेटिंग इवेंट है. मेरा कंसिक्वेंस क्या होता है? My consequence is, I start blaming my child, I start blaming my wife, I start blaming their upbringing, I start blaming everybody in laws. कि तुम भी ऐसी हो, तुम्हारा बेटा भी ऐसा है, तुम्हारा साला पूरा खानदान ही ऐसा है, कभी समय पे कोई काम नहीं किया, खुद तो लेट होते ही होते हो, मुझे भी लेट कर देते हो. Now what happens is, she starts reacting to you. The son wakes up and he starts reacting to you, and the consequence becomes bigger and bigger and bigger. The activating event is very simple. एक गाड़ी स्टार्ट नहीं हो रही, दूसरी गाड़ी ले, कॉलेज जा, ओला उबेर कर, कॉलेज जा, घर से बाहर निकल, ऑटो कर, कॉलेज जा. Reaching the college is more important or consequence is more important. I understand. If we start focusing on the belief, the consequences will be reduced. So here I give you a wonderful thought. Here I give you a wonderful quotation. This quotation, if I very strongly believe, if it is scribbled down or written down somewhere on the platform or the place where you work, I am sure it will slowly percolate down into your thoughts. क्या बोलता है स्टेटमेंट? स्टेटमेंट बोलता है, स्टॉप रिएक्टिंग, स्टार्ट रिस्पॉन्डिंग. क्या बोलता है स्टेटमेंट? स्टॉप रिएक्टिंग, स्टार्ट रिस्पॉन्डिंग. The moment you start responding to things, to events, to activities, obviously there won't be any action or reaction from the other end. That is what is how we change our belief. Let us think. Let us understand 8 steps for transforming your emotions into joy. Everybody whosoever is listening to me, I think and I know, rather I know that everybody wants to be happy. Everybody wants to be happy most of the times. A step further, everybody wants to be happy always. So I would question mark one thing. How would you define happiness? How would you define happiness? To be little on the philosophical side, I would say that happiness is nothing but deprivation of sadness is happiness. दुख नहीं है तो सुख है ना. Why can't I always be happy? It is my choice to be happy or to be sad. So let us understand these 8 steps. Step number 1. Accept your emotions and take full responsibility of your emotions. ये मेरी भावनाएं हैं जो मेरे अंदर से आई है और ये मेरी ही भावनाएं हैं, मैं इनकी रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी लेता हूं. I accept my emotions and I take full responsibility of my emotions. I don't blame anybody else. I don't play a blame game कि ये HOD की वजह से ऐसा हमेशा होता है, ये प्रिंसिपली हमारे ऐसे है, ये एजुकेशन सिस्टम ही बेकार है, काश मैं इंडिया में नहीं पैदा होता तो बेटर होता. एक्सेप्ट योर इमोशंस. और ये एक्सेप्टेंस के लिए मुझे लगता है कि एक स्टेटमेंट बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है जो कहीं पे आपने लिखना चाहिए. क्या बोलता है स्टेटमेंट? बहुत ध्यान से सुनेंगे. स्टेटमेंट बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है. चेंज इट इफ यू कैन. क्या स्टेटमेंट है? चेंज इट इफ यू कैन. बदल सकते तो बदल डालो, और अगर नहीं बदल सकते तो एक्सेप्ट इट इफ यू कैन नॉट. वंडरफुल स्टेटमेंट है. पिछले 20 साल से मैं स्टेटमेंट पे काम कर रहा हूं एंड आई वेरी स्ट्रांगली बिलीव इफ दिस स्टेटमेंट परकोलेट्स डाउन यू कैन ऑलवेज बी हैप्पी. ये आज की डेट ध्यान में रखेंगे, 1 दिसंबर 2020. रिमेंबर दिस थिंग. स्टॉप क्रिबिंग, ग्रम्बलिंग अबाउट योर लाइफ. टेक रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी. एक्सेप्ट योर इमोशंस एंड टेक रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी ऑफ योर ओन इमोशंस कि यस इट इज सो. अच्छी सुंदर लड़की दिखती है तो यस माई इमोशंस कम आउट. हाउ टू एक्सप्रेस दैट्स अ डिफरेंट स्टोरी. First, acceptance is more important. Second, give name to your emotions. I would like you to label your emotions. जैसे कोई स्टूडेंट ब्रेकअप के बाद आपके पास आता है या आती है और वो बोलते हैं, रिजल्ट लगता है, बच्चे फेल होते हैं, है ना. हम क्या बोलते हैं एज अ टीचर? कोई नहीं बेटा, अच्छी बात है, कोई नहीं, कोई प्रॉब्लम नहीं, हो गया ना, ठीक है ना, इट्स ओके, पुट इन मोर एफर्ट्स. दैट इज व्हाट वी से. मैं समझता हूं कि ये बोलने से अच्छा अगर हम उसके इमोशंस को नेम देते हैं तो वो ज्यादा बेटर होगा. आई वुड लाइक यू नॉट ओनली टू बी अ टीचर बट आई वुड लाइक यू टू बी अ काउंसलर एज वेल. ठीक है. तो क्या कहते हैं? हम बोलेंगे कि मैं जानता हूं आपको बहुत दुख हुआ है, फेल हुए. तो वो बोलता है सर दुख नहीं हुआ है, मुझे शर्म आ रही है कि क्लास में 60 बच्चों में से 59 स्टूडेंट्स पास्ड एंड आई ओनली फेल्ड. आई एम नॉट ओनली फीलिंग एंग्री, आई एम नॉट ओनली फीलिंग सॉरी, बट आई एम फीलिंग ashamed of myself. Now the moment you start labeling his emotion, we are not labeling him, we are labeling his emotion. We are giving name to his or our own emotions. For example, घर आता हूं और मुझे बहुत इरिटेशन हो रहा है for some reason, I don't know what. So what I normally say to my daughter and son is, even I say to my wife कि आज बहुत इरिटेटिंग लग रहा है, प्लीज आधा घंटा मुझसे बात मत करो, थोड़ा सा नॉर्मलाइज हो जाता हूं, फिर आई विल स्पीक टू यू. Even this can be talked with your superiors also. Not necessarily every time you should keep on listening to them unnecessarily despite the fact that you are angry, you are upset, you are irritated, you are frustrated. है ना. प्रिंसिपल आपको बुलाते हैं, HOD आपको बुलाते हैं, बहुत झापते, बहुत चमकाते, they give you a thrashing. ऐसे कैसे हो गया, ऐसा कैसा कर दिया, ब्ला ब्ला ब्ला, so many things, है ना. होता है, गलती हो जाती है. गलती होती है तो ठीक है, हम सॉरी बोलते, मुंडी नीचे करते हैं और अंदर ही अंदर बोलते कि ये तो ऐसे ही बोलता है, ये तो परमानेंट ही ऐसे बोलता है, इसकी तो आदत है बोलने की. ये बोलने की जगह अंदर में भी गिव नेम टू योर इमोशंस कि आई एम नॉट फीलिंग हैप्पी, आई एम अपसेट. मैं कुछ समय, यू कैन स्पीक टू योर सुपीरियर इन दिस लैंग्वेज कि सर मैं बहुत डिस्टर्ब्ड हूं अभी, मैं कैन आई कम आफ्टर सम टाइम एंड स्पीक टू यू, कैन आई टॉक टू यू लेटर. It seems that you are not only angry but you are irritated as well. Can we talk sometime later? Can we speak about this sometime later? मैं कुछ समय बाद आता हूं. Give name to your and the others' emotions. This is very important. No? The moment you give it, let go of the emotional story. Maximum लोग जो emotionally disturbed होते हैं वो किसी कंधे को ढूंढते हैं. They search in for a shoulder. Shoulder to do what? Shoulder to put their head and cry or crib and grumble. लेट गो ऑफ द इमोशनल स्टोरी. हो गया ना, क्या हुआ, ब्रेकअप ही हुआ ना, वो छोड़ के गई ना, क्या हुआ, लेट गो ऑफ द इमोशनल स्टोरी. ये हम अपने लेवल पे बात कर रहे हैं. दिस इज नॉट वी आर गोइंग टू से टू अदर्स. दिस इज नॉट वी आर गोइंग टू से टू अदर्स. ठीक है, ये जिंदगी में होने ही वाला है, ऐसा होता ही है. बिलीव मी. एक्सट्रीम नेगेटिव इमोशन कौन सी होती है पता है? जब हमारा कोई नियर एंड डियर वन गुजरता है. Some of our very close friends, some of our relatives, some of our very near and dear ones, he is not there in the world. He dies. That is the extreme negative state of an individual. Now, how long do you carry this grief? How long do you carry this sadness? It will depend on person to person. It will depend on individual to individual. My students around me, my parents, and even my children say that, Papa, you're not emotional. I said, no, I am very emotional, but I know how to express and where to express. So इमोशनल स्टोरी को जितना कट शॉर्ट करेंगे उतना आप कंफर्टेबली आगे की जिंदगी में जीने की कोशिश करोगे. आई ऑलवेज टेल, बिलीव मी, यू ऑल आर टेक्निकल पीपल. एक वर्ड, दो वर्ड का एक छोटा सा सेंटेंस है, दो वर्ड का सेंटेंस है. ये आपके जितने हॉस्टल है, ये सारे हॉस्टल के दरवाजे पे पीछे से लिखेंगे आप. हॉस्टल डोर्स, दो दरवाजे होते हैं, खुलते हैं अंदर के साइड में मैक्सिमम जगह पे. ठीक है ना? या एक सिंगल दरवाजा भी होता है तो चलेगा, कोई हरकत नहीं. दरवाजे के पीछे के साइड में बड़े अक्षर में उसको प्रिंट करके छाप दीजिए. क्या लिखने का है? व्हाट नेक्स्ट. यू रिमेंबर 3 इडियट? यू रिमेंबर द पर्सन हु कमिट सुसाइड, हैंगिंग? उसके नीचे, उसके यहां पे दीवार पे लिखा होता है आई क्विट. मैं बोलता हूं वो आई क्विट लिखने की जगह पे हमें खुद ही एज मेंटर्स लिखना है व्हाट नेक्स्ट. लेट द स्टूडेंट स्टार्ट थिंकिंग व्हाट नेक्स्ट. आगे क्या, आगे क्या, आगे क्या. द मोमेंट ही स्टार्ट्स थिंकिंग, इमोशनल स्टोरी ऑटोमेटिकली चली जाएगी. एंड नेक्स्ट पार्ट इज वेरी वाइटल. एज टीचर्स वी नीड टू डू इट. आइडेंटिफाई योर इमोशनल बिलीफ. I also, as you also go to valuation, I go to the valuation. And हमारे एचओडी है, वो बोलते हैं कि पेपर पढ़ लिया तो बच्चा फेल होने वाला है. मतलब if you read word by word, the student is guaranteed going to fail. So please don't read too much. That is what our seniors say. मैं बोलता हूं मेरा इमोशनल बिलीफ क्या कहता है. मेरा इमोशनल बिलीफ कहता है, when I was a young child, my mother is also a psychologist and she was also a teacher. So I used to sit beside her when she was valuating the papers. घर में पेपर लाती थी इकट्ठा वो, और घर में बैठ के वो पेपर चेक करती थी. तो I used to sit beside her. And I used to always ask her कि मम्मा ये फेल हो रही है लड़की, या लड़का फेल हो रहा है, 2 मार्क और दे देना. पास से थोड़ा सा धक्का दे दे, पास कर दे उसको. शायद वहां से मेरा बिलीव है कि ठीक है, द स्टूडेंट्स हैव पुट इन सम एफर्ट्स. इमोशनल बिलीव क्या बोलता है मेरा इमोशनल बिलीव बोलता है कि चलो यार, जितना हो सकता है उतने से हम स्टूडेंट्स को पास करते हैं, है ना. धक्का देते हैं ना थोड़ा सा. ठीक है, 25 पासिंग मार्क्स है, 21 मिला है, तो चलो 4 मार्क कहीं एडजस्ट करते हैं, 2 मार्क कहीं एडजस्ट करते हैं, धक्का दिया, पास हो जाएगा, जिंदगी उसकी आगे चलेगी. मेरा इमोशनल बिलीफ शायद ये बोलता है. आपका क्या बोलता है? सोचो. व्हाट योर इमोशनल बिलीफ सेज. बिलीव मी, अबाउट 15 years बिफोर आई वॉज अ वेरी वेरी अग्रेसिव इंडिविजुअल. अभी भी मेरी आवाज से शायद आप लोगों को यह महसूस हो रहा होगा. आई वॉज अ वेरी वेरी अग्रेसिव इंडिविजुअल. एंड आई एम अ पर्सन हु वेरी स्ट्रांगली बिलीव्स ऑन माय ओन प्रिंसिपल्स, जो कहता है कि सिग्नल नहीं तोड़ना चाहिए. नो, यू शुड नॉट ब्रेक द सिग्नल. तो हम सिग्नल पे खड़े होते थे, मैं, मेरी वाइफ और मेरा बच्चा. ठीक है, द चाइल्ड स्टैंडिंग इन फ्रंट ऑफ द स्कूटर, माय वाइफ एंड मी सिटिंग. एंड वी यूज्ड टू स्टॉप एट द सिग्नल कंफर्टेबली. लोग आजू बाजू से सिग्नल तोड़ के जाते थे, हम सिग्नल पे खड़े होते थे. माई बिलीफ यूज्ड टू से, आई आइडेंटिफाइड दैट बिलीफ. माई बिलीफ यूज्ड टू से कि सिग्नल मेरे लिए बना हुआ है, अब मैं इसके ऊपर खड़ा ही रहूंगा. लाल बत्ती जब तक है तब तक मैं खड़ा रहने का है, हरी होने के बाद ही मुझे जाना है. ये मेरा बिलीफ बोलता है. उसके आगे में भी बिलीफ कुछ बोलता था. क्या बोलता था बिलीफ? कि मैंने अगर सिग्नल फॉलो किया है तो बाकी सब लोगों ने भी सिग्नल फॉलो करना ही चाहिए. ये जो करना ही वाला चक्कर होता ना, दिस इज वेरी वाइटल. मस्ट डू. Everybody else must follow the signal. If not, I am going to give them a punishment. So I used to stop the vehicle. I used to catch hold of the person who has broken the signal, and I used to beat him on that square in the chalk. 3, 4, 5 times this happened. I was very aggressive. I was doing a lot of things. And My wife said, and we discussed a lot of times, that this is not good, this is inappropriate. I identified the belief. And I understood that this belief is not appropriate. What the belief said, मेरे लिए सिग्नल बना हुआ है, मुझे इसको फॉलो करना ही है, और कोई ब्रेक करता है तो मैं उसको पनिशमेंट दूंगा. I identified my irrational belief. आगे चलते हैं. We take one more step further. Feel the emotional fully. Try if required. Don't always be a good or a bad boy. ना? Good boy, good girl नहीं होना चाहिए. अमिताभ बच्चन के जितने मूवीज है, उन सारे मूवीज में आपने कभी आंसू नहीं बहाया, तो आई थिंक यू आर नॉट इन्वॉल्व विद द मूवी. I do cry. At times I do cry. It is not that the males don't cry. हमारी सोसाइटी में बहुत सारे प्रेजुडाइसेस हैं. आप किसी की मैयत पे जाते हो, कहीं किसी की डेथ होती है, आप जाते हो, आप देखो, none of the males cry, only the females cry. Why is it so? Why cannot we express our emotion fully? Cry if required. Don't always be a good boy or a girl. Most important, if you are not able to understand, why don't you ask for a reason or a clarity and light for your unknown emotions? हमारे यहाँ पे आज भी, अनफॉर्चुनेटली वी आर टॉकिंग इन 2020, आज भी किसी साइकोलॉजिस्ट के पास जाना, किसी साइकियाट्रिस्ट के पास जाना, गोइंग टू अ काउंसलर मीन्स द पर्सन हैज गॉन मैड. अरे मैं कोई पागल हो गया, काउंसलर के पास जाऊंगा. अरे इफ यू आर नॉट एबल टू अंडरस्टैंड, यू शुड आस्क समबडी हु नोज बेटर देन यू. व्हाई डोंट यू आस्क इट? This is the way we are going to upgrade ourselves emotionally. And the thing which I related, identify the inappropriate belief at the root of your emotion. My inappropriate belief said that I must make people follow this signal. ये जो must है, ये must को मैंने replace किया. I replaced the inappropriate belief with a more empowering belief like, the signals are meant for me. I am going to follow it. If somebody follows or not, that is their choice. तो सिग्नल पे आज भी मैं खड़ा रहता हूं, अकेले खड़ा रहता हूं, बच्चों के साथ खड़ा रहता हूं. मेरे आजू बाजू से लोग जाते हैं सिग्नल तोड़ के. I am very happy, very comfortable. I look at them with a broad smile and say, GTH, go to hell. That is your choice. I am going to stand here. It is my choice. I very strongly believe if anxiety can be converted to concern, see what happens. Will the worst happen? It surely will. Concern says the worst may happen and the best may happen. I will try to convert possibility into probability. When anxiety is converted to concern, you see a probability of possible solutions. When depression is converted to sadness, see this happens. Worst has already happened. There's nothing in front of me now. Everything is finished. Sadness says, I had not asked for it, but let me see what can I do for it. Situation is not under my control, so I am going to accept it. The sentence what I said, लिख लिया कहीं पे आपने? Change it if you can, accept it if you cannot. Anger बोलता है जब जब भी, whenever you are angry, anger always blames somebody else. The worst has happened, already happened because of him. He is responsible for that. When you are irritated, what he says, he is good. His performance has given me inconvenience. All students are good. All friends are good. All colleagues are good. Everybody around me is good. Some of their behavior is having a problem or inconvenience for me. I will not label him. What happens when the guilt says, worst has happened only because of me, I am responsible, I am foolish, I am hopeless. That is what guilt says. Regret says, I have committed a mistake. I take full responsibility of it and I am going to change it. So this is what exactly we need to do. We need to convert our guilt into regret. We need to convert our anger into irritation. We need to convert our depression into sadness. And we need to convert our anxiety into concern. एक आखिरी का स्टेटमेंट मेरी तरफ से, जिंदगी में पैसे छोड़ के कभी भी आपको कोई प्रॉब्लम हो तो आप मुझे फोन कर सकते हो. माय फोन नंबर इज देयर 9822219879 and I 100% guarantee we all can be comfortable, we all can be happy, and we all can live a better life than what we are doing today, with values, with morals, with ethics and principles of our own. This is what I very strongly believe. Any of your questions you have, Hari sir, if somebody has a question, please let them ask. I'm here to give a reply.
Uh, that was very eye-opening, sir. I actually could explore myself when I had attended Indian Air Force interview back in
Yeah,
2012, but
right.
for some medical reasons, I could not get in. Uh,
Okay.
now, I was actually feeling where many times I've tried also that it was there with me that it is a guilt, it's not my mistake. What to do?
Right.
No, probably I'll take that responsibility and I will move on.
यस यस ऑब्वियसली ऑब्वियसली ये जो मैंने आपसे शेयर किया ना सभी लोगों से मैं शेयर करता हूं जो जो हॉस्टल के वार्डन्स हैं इन लोगों ने ये काम करना चाहिए कि टू रिड्यूस सुसाइड और टू रिड्यूस द थॉट्स ऑफ सुसाइड व्हाट नेक्स्ट सिर्फ दो वर्ड्स लिखने हैं व्हाट नेक्स्ट
Yeah.
हॉस्टल के रूम में ये लिखना ही है ये कोटेशन डालना ही है कि आगे क्या जो भी वो सोचेगा वट एवर ही थिंक्स आई थिंक दिस कैन हेल्प ऑल द स्टूडेंट्स all of the teachers and everybody in the technical and non-technical area.
That's
So,
a really thought-provoking idea what you have given, sir. We will surely incorporate it.
right, right.
And
Any of the questions, if they're there?
if you can give some 5 minutes time, I'll just get
Yes,
back
sure.
to questions. Yeah.
Sure. Bilkul, I'm there. Don't worry. I'm there. If they're there? Yeah, I'm there.
Sir, there are further no more questions. But personally,
Great.
I do have a question, sir.
Yeah,
Uh,
please ask me.
Most of the times I get anger.
Hmm.
I do not. I now have to really understand if it is irritation or anger. But
Hmm.
otherwise, the past experience what I have, especially with my family, uh, whenever that must thing is there that you have told. So I always have that must, and I want that must to happen. But when that does not happen, or somebody interrupts me of doing that must, so I actually lose my
I
mind.
would like to ask you,
I become the most stupid person in the world, probably.
Lisa, I would like to ask you a question. What
Yes,
do
sir.
you do when you
Yes.
get angry?
Now, in the
What do you
recent
do when you
times,
get angry?
sir, your voice is breaking a lot. Um, Seems like Damle sir has some internet issues, so he's coming back. So he's back. Sir, am I audible, sir? Damle ji, Damle ji, am I audible?
Yes, sir, you are audible. You are audible.
I would like to end the session if there are no further questions.
Hello, Harisa.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
One question for you.
Yes,
What do
sir.
you do when you get angry?
Previously, it was very worst. Uh, I used to hurt myself
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
because I didn't want to hurt others. So that was
Mm-hmm.
one good thing my parents have taught me.
Mm-hmm.
So I was not at the very same time was not able to control also. So it was just
Okay.
bombarding out of me. So I used to hurt
Okay.
myself. and
Okay.
now it has come down very much.
Hmm.
I think a lot, and why it has happened. Probably I will think out of the box ways
I
and
think you need to
counter the other
start
dialogues.
very simple thing. A very simple thing you can start doing. You can start
Yes, sir.
expressing that you are angry.
Okay.
You can start expressing this. Say maybe even to your HOD, है ना? You can express directly. Maybe even to your superiors, not HOD only, your superiors also. कि sir, I am
Okay.
getting irritated right now. I'll speak to you a little later.
Okay.
I am very upset right now. You know? Not because of you, not because of your behavior. I am getting upset. Maybe whatever reason. I'm not comfortable right now.
Okay.
So थोड़ा
Okay.
सेटल होने के बाद में फिर बात करेंगे तो हमारा जो रिस्पॉन्स वाला पार्ट है दैट पार्ट यूल स्टार्ट एक्चुअली वर्किंग ऑन
Okay. Yes.
rather than reacting immediately you'll start responding.
Yes,
So
sir.
ये जो सेंटेंस था ना
Yes,
ये जो
sir.
सेंटेंस था ये बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है स्टॉप रिएक्टिंग स्टार्ट
Start
रिस्पॉन्डिंग
responding.
राइट राइट so let us start responding in a much better way to our with our students with our superiors with everybody around us and let us be happy.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Uh,
so
we'll sure
thank you
be
very
happy.
much. Yeah.
And that was all really very eye-opening, self-exploring. Uh, uh, what the guidance that you have given. It's more than a delivery. It's a guidance
Yeah,
that you have given us. You have been a guru for the rest of our lives. We have to inculcate it and better ourselves, and also the
right.
people around us. We'll surely do it. I
Thank you so
really
much.
thank you, and I, on my own behalf and on behalf of the organizing committee, I really
Thank you.
thank you for
Thank you.
this. You have been
Thank you
an
so much.
excellent guru. I really look forward to hear more from you, sir.
Yeah, sure,
Thank
sure.
you.
I'll be there. Please give me a call. I'll be there always. पैसे
Sure,
छोड़
sir.
के जिंदगी में किसी भी प्रकार की समस्या के लिए आप मुझे फोन कर सकते
Ji,
हो.
sir. Thank you. Yes.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much. Take care. Bye bye. Yeah.
Bye, sir.